You're watching Up with Krim.
Well, with the announcement that Spokane will host the U.S. Indoor Track and Field Indoor Championships in 2022, Spokane can finally look forward to getting some much-needed revenue flowing back into our city. But once we're through the pandemic, that's something every city, every community across the world is going to be looking to do. So with competition for these much-needed large events expected to increase, I went out to city leaders to ask how Spokane expects to continue competing. Once the podium has its final layer of polish, Spokane will serve as host for the U.S. Track and Field Indoor Championships in February. It's a welcome role after Spokane lost hundreds of millions of dollars of tourist revenue, including 2 missed bids at hosting March Madness. Stephanie Curran, the CEO of the Spokane Public Facilities District, calls it a loss of free money.
Most people don't completely understand the economic impact. If people come into your community for an event, they stay in the hotel, they shop, they go to the restaurants, they shop, they rent a car, they spend money, and then they leave, right? So they're not a drain on your roads and your schools and all the infrastructure. So that's huge for a community.
But it's free money every city will be desperate to bring in post-pandemic, especially for live sports, the fastest growing sector of global tourism.
It's going to get more competitive. It has been getting more competitive. COVID maybe accelerated it a little bit. There's a little bit of an arms race around the country with communities developing facilities to meet the demand and the growth in the sports travel market.
And that is where the Podium offers Spokane its first big advantage, as the only indoor sports venue of its kind west of the Mississippi River. Eric Sawyer, president and CEO of the Spokane Sports Commission, says if there's one disadvantage Spokane has, it's competing against the finances of bigger cities. But he says Spokane makes up for that with a growing reputation and an ideal market size.
This industry has really gotten very sophisticated. And it's gotten to a point where they understand we could put an event in a Seattle market and they tend to get swallowed up. They don't get the attention that they deserve. Where you can come to a market like Spokane, and when we host the Indoor Nationals here next year, it will be on the front page. It'll be the lead stories.
And it's not just a reputation with governing bodies who award these events across the country and around the world. It's a reputation with the athletes, their families, their friends, the tourists themselves who flood to big events like these in cities that aren't as accommodating.
You're driving out into the suburbs, there's a giant parking lot, a huge giant metal building, and then you're in that building all day watching your kids play sports, or if you're an athlete, during your sports, you're just sitting there on the bleachers waiting. Spokane, you run your race and then you can walk back to your hotel. You can walk downtown and get something to eat. You can go warm up on the Centennial Trail. I mean, all the amenities that we have, we're just sort of like this little, I don't even want to say undiscovered, because we have been discovered.
We beat out major markets all the time, because they know these governing bodies, they know they can come into markets like Spokane and get the support they deserve.
Well, today, Krim 2 does plan on taking a tour inside of the Podium to take a closer look at how the venue is coming along. You can join us tomorrow morning on Up with Krim. We'll have full coverage surrounding the latest information on the Podium and more on the first major sports event coming to Spokane since everything paused last year. And Jeremy, just for a little added context, we crunched the numbers a little bit. Each person, each tourist that comes into Spokane can range from spending $150 to $300 per day. And like we just heard, that's free money that just goes straight into Spokane's economy.
Yeah, I like it. And all the businesses downtown get a boost. There's some really cool ones. Jen, name something that these people coming to town don't want to miss out on.
Oh, the downtown restaurants, I think. I mean, all the restaurants, but if they're in that downtown core and they're walking around, we have so many great places to visit. And I feel like that's really a highlight for Spokane, especially in recent years.
Yeah, and like that woman said, they don't have to go out to the suburbs and hang out in a big metal building.